Hello and welcome back. Venkat here. When people think of Australia, they see wide open spaces of the outback bush. They think of kangaroos, they think of koalas, and clean air and water. And that's exactly what you get in Australia. Australia has much more to offer than the usual expectations. And not only is it a great destination for people to go on holiday, it's a great place to work in, but many international students are choosing to study in Australia because of its friendly nature, excellent education system, and high standard of living. What about the diversity of education, which is a very important criteria when you're an international student? Institutions in Australia offer a wide variety of courses and degrees. So international students can easily find the school and the field that are right for them. The first decision international students have to make when they're choosing a degree program is which school caters most to their needs and interests. Students can choose between universities, vocational education, and English language training. If necessary, it is easy for students to move between one qualification level and from one institution to another. This is the reason Australia has managed to attract a record number of international students, over 7 lakh or 700,000 in 2019. This video today is going to look at tuition fees, overall living expenses, and scholarship opportunities in Australia. We'll be looking 1 at university tuition fees in Australia, 2 average student living costs in Australia, 3 accommodation costs in Australia, 4 food costs in Australia, 5 transportation costs in Australia, 6 what about scholarships and student funding in Australia. This is not necessarily the order in which somebody needs to go, but this is the order we are giving based on our own experience with students and from the information we have sourced, which is publicly available. Now let's look at the number one, university tuition fees in Australia. Tuition fees vary depending on the discipline you choose to study, the degree level, and the university in which you enroll. In fact, the tuition fees also plays a very large role after selecting your course on which university you will do that course in. So tuition fees for international students, remember these are all in Australian dollars, and these are approximate figures, accurate up to a certain point of time. Before going, we will, of course, when you get in touch with us, we'll give you a more accurate figure. Now, let's look at tuition fees for international student. Bachelor's degree is between 20,000 to 45,000 Australian dollars. Masters and PhD programs are between 22,000 to 50,000 Australian dollars per year. Right. So, one of the things that people may ask is you're given a range from 20,000 to 45,000. For bachelor's and 20,000 to 50,000 for masters and PhD. Are there really some very affordable universities in Australia? There are. Let me give you some names. There's something called Flinders University, where tuition fee starts just about around 10,000 plus Australian dollars. There is the IPAG Business School, where tuition starts around again 13 to 14,000 Australian dollars per year. There is the University of Wollongong, where the fee starts around 18,800 Australian dollars per year. There's the University of New England, where the tuition fees is around 19,100 Australian dollars per year. And there is a Victoria University, where tuition fees is at about 21,800. So these are really affordable tuition fees per year in Australian dollars. Let's look at the other end of the spectrum. What are the tuition fees at top ranked universities approximately? So the Australian National University has a tuition fees between 28,000 to 49,000 Australian dollars per year. The University of Queensland has a tuition fee between 25,000 and 46,000 Australian dollars per year. The University of Sydney has a tuition fee between 36,000 and 57,000 Australian dollars per year. So you have universities, depending upon where they are located, the kind of facilities they offer, the kind of placements they give you, and their reputation. Obviously, the higher reputed universities in the larger towns will be a little more expensive, but along with that you get the brand name also. Let's look at the second one, that is the average student living costs in Australia. The international students living in Australia need between 1,400 to about 2,400 Australian dollars per month to cover all their living expenses, including accommodation, food, and social activities. Check the appropriate budget you'll need for some of the most popular student cities in Australia. Let us give you a ballpark figure. For example, Sydney, it starts at 1,900 Australian dollars per month. You have Adelaide, which starts at 1,300 Australian dollars per month. Brisbane, which is approximately around 1,400 Australian dollars per month. Canberra, which is around $1,400 per month again. And Melbourne, which is around 1,500 Australian dollars per month. Sydney obviously is the most expensive at 1,900 Australian dollars per month. But believe me, it provides you unparalleled exposure and experience, and it's a global melting pot. Now let's look at the accommodation costs in Australia. Most universities provide a small number of either dormitories or some kind of on-campus accommodation. That's why many international students choose to rent a private property, or you can also live with a local family, which gives you the feeling of a homestay. Average prices for accommodation options are homestays, which is living with a local family, is between 450 to 1,500 Australian dollars per month. The students' hall of residence is between 400 to 1,200 Australian dollars per month. If you rent an apartment for yourself, then it will be anywhere from $700 to $1,800 per month. If you share a rented apartment or a house, that will be between say 400 to 800 Australian dollars per month. Other costs, there are other costs, this is just the rental which are associated with accommodation. Apart from rent, your accommodation requires extra expenses like utilities, which is of course your electricity, water, conservancy and other things, which is around 200 Australian dollars per month, and internet will be about 70 to 120 Australian dollars per month. What about the next point, which is food costs in Australia? Groceries are available in local supermarkets and usually require around 400 to 900 Australian dollars per month. You can save money, of course, by shopping at cheap supermarkets like Woolworths, Aldi, Coles, etc. Now, the average cost of a meal at an inexpensive restaurant will be around 20 Australian dollars, while a real big buffet will be around 70 to 90 Australian dollars. You can also choose from various types of global cuisines like Asian, Greek, and Indian if you enjoy any particular thing. Now let's look at the transportation costs in Australia. Some universities have a private transport supplier that helps students who stay on campus or those who need to reach some places where the university campuses may be located, which are a little far away. Depending on the area you're living in, you can benefit from some discounts from state programs, such as in Queensland, South Australia or Melbourne. Otherwise, a public transport pass for student, like we have the bus passes in India, cost between let's say 40 to 70 Australian dollars per month, depending upon, of course, the city. This range is depending upon the city. Most in Sydney, of course, it will be the most expensive. Now, one way you can really have fun is, it's a lot of flat terrain, so you should rent a cycle, and you can rent one for around 40 Australian dollars per day, and it's great fun to use that. What about some of the extra costs? You, of course, because you're studying, you'll need books and other study material, which will cost between 500 to 900 Australian dollars per year. And of course, the mandatory health insurance rates, which are around 30 Australian dollars per month. Now, this is in terms of the cost. What about do students get any scholarship to help in all these costs? There are many scholarships and grants available to international students who want to study in Australia. Some of the main providers are, of course, the Australian government, the higher educational institutions themselves, and other public and private organizations. Each scholarship provider is responsible for establishing the application criteria, which means the criteria may slightly vary, but broadly 80% will be similar. There may be a 20% differential in the criteria. But most financial aid opportunities are available to all international students. Please visit our website and give us a call, and we will tell you more whether it's respect to the to various courses in Australia or the scholarships that you can have. But Australia is a fabulous country. It is only about 8 to 10 hours flying distance from India, and it's something where you'll really enjoy yourself and get exposure to world class institutions. So, happy hunting for educational institutions, and we will help you in that. Thank you. Bye.